As Frank mentioned, thank you so much for you all being here today. This is a great time at Fresno State, and it's an amazing time for not only Fresno as a city, but our valley in its entirety. Before I begin, I would be remiss if I didn't thank some amazing people who position us all for success here. Of course, our president, Saul Jimenez Sandoval, has been a lightning rod for all of us as we move forward in our institution and what we're doing. His energy, his commitment to not only this university, but this valley is unchallenged and unmatched. And because of that, I know we've already won before we put one shovel in the ground as it relates to moving this thing forward. In doing that, of course, he has amazing partners, and many of you are here today, and many of you are here with us. I'd like to thank, of course, all of our supporters and donors who've come out and blessed us today and been a part of this and have been a part of it for so many years. I'm going to embarrass her because she does not like it. I would be remiss if I did not recognize our Board of Governors president, Vinci Riccuti. She's back there. She hates it, I know, but she's so important to us. You know, the leadership that we've had here, of course, it's not a recent thing. It's been here for decades. And I think it's extremely important that we recognize that. The work that we're talking about today is legacy work. And it's not individual legacy, it's institutional legacy. Everyone here has a part to play in this movement that we have at this institution. And we're building off of the work of so many great individuals here. The numbers of coaches are astounding here, of what we've had, the talent that has moved us forward. The athletes have been here, incredible. We're working off their efforts as well. So for me, this work is just a continuation of the greatness of this valley, a continuation of the greatness of this university, and most importantly, a continuation of the greatness of our current student athletes and our current university and the current community that we serve. So I'm very honored to be sitting here today, being able to be a part of something much bigger and much grander than anything that I personally could do here. It is literally the investment in all of us to move this forward. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our next contributor. Thank you so much for being here. Pleasure so much.
And I would like to thank the university for giving me an opportunity to speak today. And I want to build off of one of the things that Terry talked about, and that, of course, is legacy. And I want to share with you two stories. The first one is a story about me, because I was a student here. I graduated from Fresno State the first time in 1999. But I experienced some tragedy in my own life with my parents splitting and then my father's untimely death. And I had the privilege of having a lot of my professors wrap their arms around me and help me graduate. And in the process, I was able to graduate as the outstanding baccalaureate senior in 1999, and I still have my name, I think, on the plaque in the criminology department here at Fresno State. But as Terry talked about so eloquently with student athletes here, I think about how valuable the students that come through Fresno State is, not only to Fresno County, but the entire region. The second story I want to tell you about was in 2018, the Fresno State football team, of course, was the most successful football team ever. And I was the chairman of the Board of Supervisors in 2019 and wanted to present a resolution to the many of the athletes from that team. And during that time, the leader of the pack who came to the Board of Supervisors was David Tongipa, who was the starting tight end that particular year. And David got up and spoke, and we presented a proclamation to that team. And David mentioned how one day he wanted to be governor of the state of California. And I was so impressed by the boldness, not only of David, but the other members of that particular year, that I took them all to lunch and I told them that I wanted to be a facilitator for them. And since that time, many of those athletes have gone on to do great things, both in the NFL as well as just in the community right here. But David went on to become my field representative, and during the crisis of COVID, during the crisis of the Creek Fire, and even the crisis of the flooding here in Fresno County, he's been right there working with me and just helping the people of Fresno County out tremendously. So Fresno State has helped create men and women like this. They've been very impactful in my life. I'm excited for this next chapter and really pouring into the lives of student athletes, because they are going to be the change agents, not only here in Fresno County in the future, but throughout the entire state of California. Thank you for having me today.
It's always great when you can say your county is in support and understands the value of your institution and what we do for this entire region here in California. So with that, I guess we're going to open it up for questions.
Terry Steve Hicks from ABC 30. I think you and I have talked about something like this for a number of years. Why is 2023 the right time to announce something like this?
I think it's the right time for Fresno State. Fresno State has always been a beacon of excellence here in the Valley. I think that Fresno State has epitomized what excellence can be, and really has always been kind of a symbol of kind of doing things the right way and kind of starting from scratch and getting things done and showing excellence. At this point in time, I don't think our university has ever really unveiled a master plan that is as comprehensive as this, that will look at every sport that we have in our portfolio and see how we can make it an additive for our not only our students, but also our community at large. So as this institution continues to grow, and under the visionary leadership of our president, I think that this is the right time for Fresno State as a university, not just as athletics, as a university to move forward.
And on that note, obviously football's the picture of this Elevate program, but was the equity of the other programs important in laying out a vision like this?
Always important. I think when we look at it, when we talk about comprehensive excellence, we're talking about every program that we have here in our portfolio. We recognize, of course, that many of the things that emanate or that can move this thing forward will begin or start with football from a funding perspective. We understand how that funding model works. So we understand the importance of football. However, I would be remiss if I did not emphasize comprehensive excellence throughout the entire piece of what we're presenting today. You'll notice in every segment, you'll see something that is being enhanced, whether it's our softball program, our women's tennis program, our basketball programs as a collective. Even those that are not shown will be enhanced. Our golf programs will be enhanced. We do have thoughts for that. I'm very happy to see what we're doing with our track and field programs and what they've done. We have a great history here of excellence, and we're looking to make sure that that continues in the near future.
We've seen the renderings. Could you speak on what some of the vision and what you wanted to accomplish, or your staff, in elevating the experience of being at Valley Children's Stadium and what the student athletes can get out of it?
Well, we definitely understand the importance of the university and kind of what athletics does as basically a synergist. We see athletics bringing everyone together. It's a celebration of the spirit of Fresno and the spirit of this valley. So what we wanted to do is to be able to have those celebration points, but do it in a way that is responsible. So this is a phased conceptual approach, right? We're looking at how we can go through multiple phases in order to build this thing correctly and make it work for all of us. We don't want to get out over our skis, but we definitely want to do something that's going to be digestible. We want it to happen. In fact, I can honestly say, even though we're unveiling it today, there are parts of this that have already happened to help us move forward. The Morris Whitworth Performance Center is a part of this master plan. That has already changed the lives of all of our student athletes on the other side of Cedar. They have the ability now to perform and to get better without having the terrain of trying to get past Cedar to get over here to work out and do their things. They're already getting better from that. So we've already enhanced their ability to move forward. We're also going to see it right now as we move forward for our fall campaign. We will start investment in our suite bay on the east side of the stadium. There will be enhancements to that will move that forward. Hopefully those investments, of course, will move to have other projects move forward in our next phases.
Terry, got Bemis over here.
Oh, there you go. How you doing, Bemis?
Obviously, the changing landscape in college athletics right now, Fresno State's been, Fresno State's name has been mentioned, obviously, in rumors about joining new conferences and this and that. How big a part is that playing in being this aggressive, with a plan like this?
I would be remiss if I think I would, I would not be forthcoming, I should say, if I didn't say that that's a consideration. But it wasn't the impetus for what we're doing. I think our community has deserved this for quite some time. And I think many of our community members, I'm looking at right now, I see Pacheco out there right now. I think he would say we've deserved this for many, many years. And so therefore, I think that is more important to us in terms of what we're doing and why we're doing it. It's to serve the great state of California and in particularly this great valley. So that's the real reason. But of course, it is an added benefit, right? And we recognize that. And hopefully, if it sheds a bigger light on what's already great here, that's great. But candidly speaking, I think if you're I don't want to say Power 5 conference because I don't think that even exists anymore, but I would say if you're a conference that's looking for that, we're already a great conference. I mean, we're already a great member. We're already a great candidate. And the Mountain West Conference is a great conference to be in. We're very proud to be members of the Mountain West Conference, and we'll always look for other opportunities.
$250 million, obviously, that's a big number, right? So how do you go about accomplishing that, bringing that kind of money in?
Not by myself. I can tell you that right now. It's going to take a host of all of us to do it, and that's the comprehensive number, right? So every phase is adding to that $250 million proposition. But I do feel as though there's a lot of different revenue sources. There will be a heavy emphasis, though, on philanthropy. I'll be the first to say that. We have a very giving community, and a community, once they believe in you and believe in what you're doing, they will produce. We've seen that in everything we've done here. And so therefore, I am leaning on that. I'm leaning on those supporters to help us move this forward. And I think as we, of course, show that that can be a possibility, we will be able to move it forward.
And you kind of hinted at it a little bit, too, that it sounds like football might be the number one priority to start. Is there a pecking order in how you want to get this done? And do you have a timeline in mind?
I wouldn't say that football's the number one priority. I would say it's an important piece of it because of the revenue that it produces. This is a model that will allow us to produce revenue that will be funding other pieces. It's definitely an investment. Everything we're doing is a planned investment to the next phase. So that's why we understand football, but we also understand what we can do in basketball. We understand what we can do in soccer. We understand what baseball and softball can do for us. So there's a host of different ways to do it from that vantage point. But I must emphasize that philanthropy is going to be a big part of it. We're going to have people help us in order to get here. And I think that's important for us to recognize. And candidly speaking, I think that's happened so much throughout our state and here at Fresno State. So I feel very good about that piece. I do feel as though the model is going to be ever-changing. What we showed you was conceptual, and the reason why we say it's conceptual is, yes, we have these grand notions of what it should look like, and they are spot on in terms of meeting the demands of our student athletes, but we also have a long process to go through. We have to go through CSU approvals and all the governing bodies that go along with that. So to have timelines and things of that nature, I think is a little bit premature because we have so much other work to do. But I think the appetite of our community needed to see this plan now to understand what we're doing to move forward.
Jose Gonzalez, 1430 ESPN. Terry, as you talked about philanthropy, is there a process of maybe bringing in former Bulldogs, those at the professional ranks that are doing pretty good among themselves, to kind of get them into this project, to kind of have a little bit of a say with maybe the community and saying, hey, look, former Bulldogs that are playing at a very high level in professional leagues all over this country are also invested in this?
Yeah, I think there's always an opportunity for professional athletes, those who have benefited from the investments of Fresno State in them, and want to give back. I think there's always a methodology and a way for that to happen, and we welcome that. We welcome that in so many different ways. Whether it's financially, we welcome it, but we also welcome in just their presence to be able to show the greatness of this university. But I also believe that there is a ton of other pros out there who may not be in an athletic sport that can also contribute and contribute grandly to us. And so therefore, we will celebrate them just as much as we celebrate our great athletes, but it's always a good feeling to be surrounded by Bulldogs. It's always a good feeling to be surrounded by your family. So we're looking forward to the family to help us build this house.
Hey, Terry, over here.
Hey, Merrick.
Terry, how is the $250 million figure determined, and how much of that is the football piece, the football stadium piece specifically?
I would say, well, first of all, every piece, and we'll definitely show the plan in its entirety to show every development that's going to be touched in this master plan. But it really is a combination of all those pieces put together. That's where the $250 million number comes from. I would say a large part of it, a lion's share of it, does come from the stadium and stadium renovation. If you notice in the stadium component, there is a host of different areas, mostly upgrades to not only to make it to where it's more functional for our patrons, but also ways to celebrate in terms of bringing our community together. So there's a ton of different things in that way. We do feel as though the stadium is a vital piece of it, and hopefully, if done correctly, can be moving in a space that's more than just a football stadium. It could be used in other ways that would also generate revenue. We think that's valuably important.
How much of the success of this Elevate campaign hinges on the successful tax measure, which a portion of that would go to athletics if it was written up the same way the last one was?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to say that this movement of investing in us as an athletic department or as an athletic entity, it's a necessity. So we must move forward, regardless of if that what you're talking about is in play or not. I would say though that if there was a successful way to move forward within that type of framework, the work that we're proposing would move quite quickly. We have to remember that in the tax measure that you're talking about, it's not an athletics tax measure. That is a measure that is an investment in this university in its entirety. And that's a vitally important piece. We always have to recognize the fact that that measure moves this entire university forward. And from what I've seen in my short time here, making Fresno State better makes this valley better. This valley improves with Fresno State.
And lastly, you talked about philanthropy. Will donors be able to donate to individual projects in this vision, or is that money going to go into a larger pool and then the university is going to determine where that money goes?
Donor intent always rules the day. Whatever a donor intent. If a donor wants to invest in one certain aspect of this master plan, we definitely want to work with them and make sure that they have the ability to do that. This community is extremely diverse. I think people sometimes overlook how many very special leaders that we have in this community. So we're hoping to try to reach them all to kind of see how they would like to invest in this entire master plan.
So will the different project priorities be determined by how much is donated to each project and the success of each project? Is that how you determine how to go forward to do these?
I think there's going to be a couple of different considerations as we look at how things roll out. I do believe that, of course, if there is an impetus and someone wants to move forward financially in a very fast and efficient manner to make something happen today, of course, we're looking to do that. But we're always looking at as well as our equity component as well. We're always looking at that. So how we're moving forward and being able to address all of our community is vitally important. So as we move forward with one, we'll also move forward with the other. That's why I love the fact that many of the pieces that we talk about, I know many people concentrate on Valley Children's Stadium as the main focal point, but being able to feed our student athletes is an amazing component of this plan. And that is a part of what would happen here on the Duncan building. Being able to have meals and to be able to fuel the success of our student athletes is vitally important. We're looking to basically make the lives of our student athletes better every day as they move forward in competition.
Okay, Terry, you said conference expansion plays a role in this consideration. I'm wondering, are you getting indications from potential conferences that this is something that you need to do?
You know, I don't, no, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that we would need to do that. I think the work that has been done, the legacy work that has been done to build Fresno State as a athletic entity or a sports entity has already placed us in a very great position. I think we should also recognize that this community and what this community represents puts us in a very favorable position if something of like that was to come about in terms of conference realignment or conference expansion. I do believe, though, that anytime you can enhance your opportunities, you're going to do that. And I think this would allow you to enhance your opportunities by showing investment. I think the thing that most people recognize is your brand is the most important thing as you move forward. And I think anyone who would go across our nation and talk about Fresno State, the brand of the Bulldogs, it moves. People understand what Fresno State is when you talk from east to west. So I feel like that piece is already accomplished. I think more importantly, I think this master plan does something that we haven't done in quite some time, and that's serve our community better and more efficiently and in the way in which they deserve to be.
When you and the president get involved in talks, do you feel better armed if you have something like this in your pocket?
I would say yes. I would say anytime that we're being able to show investment in our students and in the university, you're always going to feel good about that proposition. But as I said before, I felt really good about us prior to this announcement. I felt really good about where we were prior to this. So I think this announcement is kind of the cherry on top. All right, Taylor.
How will this campaign help future generations of Bulldog student athletes?
I think the changing model of recruitment of student athletes is incredible. I think student athletes today are more savvy. They have a better understanding of the collegiate model, and they also understand the opportunities that are in front of them, whether it be through name, image, and likeness, whether it be through moving to a better place for them, whether it be to enhance their own personal brands. I think when you show an investment in them by building physical buildings that says you are important to me and I want to invest in you at the highest level, it will allow us to get the creme de la creme as it relates to student athletes, which and really move forward in that way. So this investment allows us to continue to be competitive, and not only to be competitive, but to do what Bulldogs like to do, and that's win. We want to win at what we do. We just don't want to be a part of the game. We want to be the game. So I think this allows us to move that forward.
One thing I forgot to ask, are public bonds, are those an option for part of this financing, to finance these projects?
I think we'd be open to that for sure. We have a very sound financial mind here with Debbie Astone, our Vice President of Finance and Administration. She is very knowledgeable and worldly in terms of how to move things forward. She's studied every model. She's even studied every model of the CSU, particularly what they did down south and how they moved that forward. So if there's an availability for that, of course, I know that would be part of our funding model.
Do we have any more questions for Terry?
Before I leave, I have to say it is so great to see all of you here supporting us. This university is special because of not only just the Bulldog, but because of individuals like you. All of you have been so critical in our growth and our development here, and I think that's what makes Fresno State special, and that's what makes Fresno State stay on top. So thank you so much for your support and your contributions to the university. Thank you.